and welcome back to a new video here at Life with the Bridges. Coming up in this video, we go to Summerfest, which involves endless inflatable castles, monster truck squashing cars, and rides that absolutely throw you into next week. We also spend some good quality time as a family over the forest, and lastly I cook up an absolute Sunday storm as I make homemade lamb minced kebabs from scratch and show you all how to do it. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. But for now, it's time for Summerfest. We arrived at Summerfest, which is a local annual festival that is put on each summer, and luckily the unpredictable English weather was on our side today as we had one excited little boy on our hands who was chomping at the bit to go on some slides. And this place was a little kid's wonderland where there was more inflatables than you could shake a stick at, and Teddy was absolutely loving it. With Teddy's inflatable castle itch temporarily scratched, we took the opportunity to have a look around the festival and see what it had to offer. There was endless amounts of fairground rides, live tribute music acts, but the main event was the ginormous monster trucks, which were merely currently just warming up their engines for the big show later. And when I say warming up, I mean casually crushing a couple of cars. Upon Teddy's request, he didn't want to go on any fairground rides, and all he wanted to do was go back on the inflatables, so back to the big colourful air-filled castle we went, before the monster truck show started. With the monster truck show underway, we put his little ear defenders on and gave him the best seat in the house so he could see all the carnage that was about to unfold. And for someone who isn't overly interested in cars and vehicles, I have to say I was pretty impressed with what was about to happen. Who would have thought you could split a car in half with two ginormous vehicles? With the monster truck show done, Katie had her itch that she needed scratching in the form of a rickety old fairground ride, but not just any fairground ride, one that made me feel like I wanted to vomit just by looking at it, whereas Katie, let's just say she was thoroughly scratching that itch. But with Katie finally back on planet Earth and eventually able to walk in a straight line, it was time to leave Summerfest behind us and head home. And we are starting our Sunday with some beautiful weather and a beautiful walk over Ashdown Forest and some family time. Sundays for many people can mean a variety of different things, and for us, it's our non-negotiable family day where we simply just be together. A few years ago, our diaries were always full to the brim with constant plans and arrangements to meet up with friends and family, but nowadays, we set this day aside just to be us, especially as life can be busy with work, and a lot of the time, we can be passing ships during the week, just navigating that work-life balance. So to have at least one day in which Teddy has his mum and dad to himself all day is something we factor into most weeks. It usually doesn't involve anything elaborate, but instead something simple like a beautiful walk over the forest and a wholesome dose of fresh air to be able to park our busy lifestyles just for a day and just slow down. We have recently noticed a trend with Teddy that he is just so happy and content when we're both around, which right now, like most people, it's an unrealistic scenario as we both have to work. But as you may know, our dream is to run this channel full time with some work on the side to be able to finally give both us and Teddy that luxury of simply all being together all of the time. A lot of us fall into that unfortunate work-life balance of working all week only to just enjoy the weekends, and for us, that's just not enough. So although we are currently stuck in that same mould, we are doing things behind the scenes to hopefully one day create that dream into reality. What that looks like and when that will happen, we aren't sure right now, but all we do know is we have a rough plan and we are doing everything in our power to make that plan happen. Because to be honest with you guys, we are ready for a new chapter and we want that new chapter. But as we all know, money doesn't grow on trees and dreams aren't achieved overnight. But just know we're doing everything we can behind the scenes to get to where we want to be, and we will continue to do that until we get there. And on that note, if you watch our channel and haven't subscribed, we would appreciate you taking the time to hit that subscribe button, as it's completely free, and liking our videos and commenting below really helps our channel out. So if you could do that for us, it would mean a hell of a lot. I started by getting my lamb leg and removing the meat off the bone, ready to be able to put through the mincer, and... Hold up a minute, what's Teddy up to?
Cock-a-doodle-doo, 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 oh, MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O.
What on earth are you up to, mister?
I'm just kidding.
Anyway, where were we? Ah yes, turning this lovely lamb chunks into mince. I put the first few bits of lamb into the mincer, which didn't work. So I took it to pieces and tried again, which also didn't work. So I repeated the process to realise I didn't actually have the mincing blade in there. So after realising my mistake, with the blade now inserted, we were cooking on gas and the mince was pouring out. I put the meat through the mincer twice, firstly to make sure the meat was ground down finely, but also to make sure the fat and the mince was mixed together properly. And top tip, if you put a slice of bread through the mincer at the end, it helps get out all of the mince from the inside of the grinder. Genius! With the meat minced, it was time for the marinade, starting off with some ginger paste, which they unfortunately didn't have in the shops, so I had to go old school with a pestle and mortar, and this gave my right arm a right run for its money. Ginger paste, in it goes. Then I added a teaspoon of chopped garlic, half a finely chopped onion, 1 teaspoon of turmeric, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of lazy chili, 1 teaspoon of fine salt, a teaspoon of paprika powder, a teaspoon of gram masala, and a small bunch of finely chopped coriander. Might as well add that to the pot as well. Next up we had a handful of fresh mint, which I also finely chopped as well. How professional. Whew, and breathe. Cool, that was tiring work. Now we just need to mix it. Thank you, Scott. Now clean the surfaces. Now it's time to build the kebabs. To build the kebabs, you need 6 to 8 soft tortilla wraps and stack them as perfectly as you possibly can on top of each other. Then you grab your knife and cut all 4 sides off to create the perfect squares. I say perfect, but as square as you can make it. Then it's time to apply the meat. Place your first soft tortilla wrap down and try to evenly spread the lamb mince from edge to edge of the wrap. Another top tip is to have a bowl of water next to you to dip your fingers in, as it stops the mince sticking to your fingers and makes it easier to spread. The mistake I made here is that I didn't actually spread the mince right to the edge, and when it came to cooking, some of the bits of wrap burnt ever so slightly. But every day's a school day. Once you've done your first wrap, place the next one on top and repeat the process. Bit like this. Once you have something that kind of resembles a lasagna, put it on some tin foil, wrap it tightly and put it in the freezer for 30 minutes, which helps firm up the wraps to make it a lot easier to cut them in the next stage. Whilst the soon-to-be kebabs have a powering up in the freezer, the next stage was the mint yogurt dipping sauce. Firstly, you add 1/3 of a cup of fresh mint leaves, 1/3 of a cup of coriander and put them in a blender with 3 tablespoons of water to help them blend together. Once you've given it a quick whiz, then add a whole cup of yogurt. Full fat yogurt would be better, but we use Greek yogurt, so it was a little more on the healthier side. I put the blade back in, then put the lid on so it didn't blow up in my face, and then gave it a good old whiz. I then ventured up to the Bridge HQ veggie patch to pick my own homegrown chilli, and came back down, chopped it up, and thought I'd give it a quick try before adding it to the sauce. And well, yeah, the face speaks for itself. It's fair to say I didn't add this in, as it blew my flipping head off. With my mouth now resembling a fire-breathing dragon, to finish off the mint yogurt I added a squeeze of half a lemon, a teaspoon of gram masala, a sprinkle of salt, some cumin seeds, a teaspoon of sugar, which I forgot to film, gave it a good mix and then covered it in tin foil and put it in the fridge to cool down until we needed it later. With my 30-minute timer going off, it was time to retrieve the lamb from the freezer and make this mince look less like a lasagna and more like kebabs, but it was looking bloody awesome though. To do this, try to equally cut the wraps as close to the same width as the depth, as the more equally square they are, firstly they look better, but secondly it's easier to turn on the grill. Once you have sliced them into individual kebabs, it's onto the skewering stage. Flip them all over onto their sides so the wraps are touching, line them up and once again equally position the skewers an even distance apart. Once you've done this, they're ready for their final cut into individual kebabs. As you can see, once again my cutting skills weren't very great as mine were all different sizes, but hey ho, another lesson learned. Once you have your individual kebabs, put them back in the fridge for some bonding time together until you're ready to fire up the grill and cook these bad boys. And in the meantime, we could press play back on our family Sunday, which meant a well overdue job of grooming Willow. And when I say well overdue, I meant it, as there was an unexpected fur storm about to go down. Although the first storm was slightly inconvenient, it didn't stop us, as it was all hands on deck to get Willow back looking tip top. With Willow now looking pristine and our belly starting to rumble, it was time to fire up the grill. I let the barbecue come up to temperature, which if anyone cares was 185 degrees, cooking indirect for about 35 minutes, and I added a little bit of cherry wood for that smoky flavour. And it was time to put the kebabs on and let them slowly smoke, and boy did they smell good. After 30 minutes had passed, I took the kebabs off the grill, ramped up the temperature of the barbecue, ready to cook them over the flames for the last few minutes to make sure all the edges were caramelised and crispy to give that incredible flavour. Whilst the barbecue was heating up, I brushed the kebabs in garlic butter to give that last bit of extra mouth-watering flavour, and then it was time for the final sear. Over the years of me growing up and leaving my youth behind me, barbecuing in my own self-built outdoor kitchen has become my safe place and a hobby I really enjoy. I've seen people comment in the past asking if I would ever think about creating my own cook or recipe book, and in all honesty, I haven't, because I use it merely as my time to do something I'm still learning and so far from perfect at. But all I have is the want to try and the want to learn to cook nice food in the safety and comfort of our own home, which you guys all know as Bridge HQ. With the kebabs now finished, we drizzled some of our mint yogurt sauce over the top and added a few simple chips on the side to finish our Super Sunday cook-off. And I really hope you enjoyed me once again, just giving things a go, with a whole lot of areas of improvement to make, but they were bloody delicious, even if I say so myself. And that's a perfect time to end that video there. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. A huge thank you to our Life with the British family members, and remember, live for today, as tomorrow is never promised. We'll catch you in the next one, chaps, as we have got some exciting plans ahead.